Welcome to another edition of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. As always, I thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Hopefully you find them informative, and when you go to your local bookstore, you will seriously consider the book that I'm about to review for you. And the book is Shock Suspense Stories, the EC Archives. This is published by Dark Horse Comics, and it retails for $25.99. For those of you who grew up in the 40s and 50s, I guess some of you are still alive, EC Comics was one of the most popular comic groups out there. There were several. The competition was fierce. So EC, which stood for Educational Comics, tried to do something different. They had a huge line of horror, really shocking horror, like Tales from the Crypt, and things like that. And unfortunately, while they were great sellers, they also raised the ire of certain people who thought the stories were so violent they corrupted youth. And there was one man in particular, a psychologist. His name was Dr. Fred Wortham, and he made a big deal about these comics corrupting youth, turning youth into juvenile delinquents. And there was a hearing before the Senate subcommittee of violence in comics, and EC Comics was really targeted, and they were picked out. And pretty well they were, almost blackmailed into saying either stop this line of comics or we'll make sure you go out of business. But one of the things is that EC Comics still created a lot of horror titles, and this was one of them, Shock Suspense Stories. And while Shock Suspense Stories was a bit toned down in relation to some of the past comics that they put out, it still had some grisly images, including the cover here, which is one of the most interesting stories in the book, from the story Carrion Death, where a man killed a police officer who was handcuffed to him, and he dragged him through the desert, and he carried him, he dragged him, and he didn't have the key to the handcuffs, and so at the end the vultures started coming down and feasting on first the police officer and then the man. So it's rather grisly still, but these Shock Suspense Stories, these are actual reproductions of issues 7 through 12. And they're most interesting for those who have not read EC Comics. Go for this one, because this one is, it's got a lot of interesting things in it. There are 2 stories adapted from Ray Bradbury stories. One is called, I'm checking my notes here, The Small Assassin, and the other was from the October Game. The October Game was about Halloween, and it's a really ghoulish thing that happens down in the basement where people, a couple are putting on a sort of, it's like a mock play for the children, and then it really gets out of hand. And so you can't go wrong. Like I said, the covers are all reproduced here, as well as its actual reproductions in great color. You can see the scary face there. And and they actually reproduce the actual issue. So it includes the letters to the editor, and there's some really interesting letters to the editor, people writing in and saying, I love what you're doing. Some are saying, I think you're going too far. But this issue of, like I said, 6 classic issues is really great. For those who love old nostalgic comics, especially the horror variety, there are some standout titles here. And some of the stories there are actually 24 stories in this book reproduced. And some of the standouts are The Tryst, The Bribe, Came the Dawn, and The Sacrifice. They are really great great grizzly. I don't think you'll be too scared because you're not little children anymore. And but still, this is a fun book. So Dark Horse Comics has done a great job of reproducing the classic EC titles. And this is one of the volumes of dozens that have been put out. So if you're looking for classic comics, Shock Suspense Stories is definitely one that you should add to your collection. So let me know if you agree with me. So thank you for watching as always. Please let me know what you think of my videos. If you love them, hate them, or you just think they're a time waster. I can handle it. So until we meet again, stay safe, stay sane, stay social distancing, and do stay in touch. And don't get too scared, okay? Bye for now.